there is something to be said about if you want to move fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you got to surround yourself with people because you only have so much time. And as a business, I was intentional. I want to work with people that I enjoy being around with, that people are similar, and I want to have fun. I don't want to dread coming into work. And when there is that conflict or that issue, it gives me purpose to go do that thing, right? It's not a big pain if I have these individuals around me.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Today we look at how a company made the Inc. list 5 times in a row. Now, a lot of the guests have been multiple winners of the show, but today we look at one specific company. I'll get my words right here. Ranking.io. The founder is Chris Dreyer. We had a great conversation about values-based leadership. He is a leader who really believes that values are a critical part of it. Now, he didn't always believe that because we talked about some of the things that he thought it was a little squishy when he started his business. And he's got a little bit of a different approach to a values-driven leadership. But you want to listen to this because I think the underlying principles of values is they're very important. They align people, they help us select the right people, and they guide the people once they're on board. In my opinion, there's nothing stronger than values-driven leadership. So hopefully you get a lot of value out of today's conversation. If you are a leader looking to take your team to the next level, we have leadership development training. All you have to do is go to genehammett.com and find the leadership training tab. It will give you a lot of insight around what is possible with your team, building the team that you envisioned. If you want a free training, just go there, check it out. There's some data associated to this. If you're interested in having a conversation about this, I'd love to talk to you. We only have a few select clients we are able to work with each year. We're more of a boutique approach to executive coaching and leadership development. But if you feel like you need help and you want to grow your company fast, you want to have stronger leaders around you, just go to genehammett.com and find the information and schedule your call today. Now, here's the interview with Chris. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing great, Gene. Thanks for having me.
I got to fix my lighting here a little bit. It's a little off. I am excited to have you on the show. Tell me about rankings.io.
We help elite personal injury attorneys dominate first page rankings with SEO. We only work with personal injury attorneys, and that's what we do. We're very focused.
I love that. When you decide to have a focus in your business that is so different than what most people do when they do SEO and any kind of marketing at all, why did you decide to focus to this level?
I really did it by accident, I guess. And I've had all these ups and downs, and I'm very self-deprecating. I've done a lot of things incorrectly, but I had these experiences working with a lot of individuals. I found that I had a propensity working in the legal space. Once I was in the legal space, there was an awareness that the personal injury side of things, the personal injury subset of the law, was just more lucrative. It's more saturated. Anytime you drive in a city, you see tons of personal injury billboards. If you're watching daytime television, you see tons of personal injury ads. And, in the one-page marketing plan, that book, there was a saying in there where this bank robber was interviewed, and it said, why did you rob the bank? And he's like, well, that's where the money was. Mm-hmm. Well, why did I work with personal injury space? Well, that's where the money is.
It's so true. They're spending money, and they would love to rank number one because it probably very meaningful to their business. I don't know if there's a more valuable aspect of the legal profession because I'm not the expert here, but their lifetime value of a client can be really big. So it makes it easier for them to trust you and your team. Is that fair?
Absolutely. The values there's those asynchronous bets. So they're going to get the common rear end collision cases, those auto accidents, but every once in a while, there's the big whammy, the big lottery ticket.
Yep. Well, we're not here to talk about rankings and the focus of your business. We're here to talk about the leadership principles, the team, the culture of rankings.io. How would you describe the culture of your company?
Our culture, and it's been intentional by design, is very, very competitive. We're an EOS traction-based agency. Our leadership L10 is not a leadership L10. It's the war room L10. Our core values are not team player and just really basic generic terms. It's true grit. It's foxhole mentality. It's send and delete. We really focus on competing, and we like to hire those types of individuals that won't settle, that will go beyond what's expected to win. And that's how our culture is built.
34 or so employees. You probably have some contractors and whatnot, but that's a pretty good sized company. You made the Inc. list 5 times. Has your culture always been like this? Did it start out this way, or did it evolve over time?
It's always been like this. I've passed down my values to the people that I wanted to surround myself with. And this originated from my dad. My dad is very Ricky Bobby-ish, right? You only play the game to win. Second place is the first loser. You could have replaced my dad on that movie. It passed it down to me. So that's who I like to surround myself with, those same types of individuals.
Now, one of the things Chris was just talking about was the values came from him and he passed them down to others in the organization. Now, this is the typical flow of everything. And I agree with this flow because we as individuals are framing, just like we select business models, just like we select, how we're going to, the clients we go after and the strategies around that. You want to make sure the values are in alignment with you, because if they're out of alignment, if there's someone else's values, there'll be a little bit of frustration that you'll always have to deal with. But what do you do with it once you have your values defined? Well, I think that you share them with your core team, your executive team or leadership team, and maybe you only have 10 employees, or maybe it's 20 employees. You find the ones that really allow you to give some feedback, and you discuss it and you refine and you do all the things necessary for everyone to buy in to those. And then you can roll it out to everyone in the organization. So it doesn't matter how many you have. You can say, here's our core values. This is what we intend to live by. My hope is that you will see the importance of being a values-driven leadership organization, and you will actually do this work, because I know it will help you grow your business. Back to Chris. That was a parody, right?
Right.
I would imagine, looking back at some of your childhood, that made for some interesting stories.
Unbelievable stories. There wasn't just casual game night at the house, even Yahtzee. My dad would run the numbers, the mathematical probabilities on rolling the dice, even Monopoly, the orange properties being better value adds. Just so many scenarios like that that were just instilled in me. Game theory.
I'm laughing because not only is that similar to what goes on in my house, I have a 15-year-old. He's always loved games. Monopoly is the main thing. Recently, he's been playing at FBLA at school. And I go, how'd you do? And he goes, oh, I crushed him. And I go, who taught you? He's like, you taught me. I said, did you get the orange properties? He's like, yep. We could probably talk about these things all day long, but I would really want to focus on what really makes your company who it is today. This level of growth is impressive, but you talk about values. They came from you first. Did you learn that as a way to run a business? Did you read it somewhere? Where did you get that idea?
There are a lot of books that talk about values, and personally, I just thought it was a lot of smoke and fluff. But there is something to be said about, if you want to move fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you got to surround yourself with people, because you only have so much time. And as a business, I was intentional. I want to work with people that I enjoy being around with, that people are similar, and I want to have fun. I don't want to dread coming into work. And when there is that conflict or that issue, it gives me purpose to go do that thing, right? It's not a big pain if I have these individuals around me. And that's what's driven us. That's why we've stayed focused, is because we enjoy what we're doing. I say that my business is like a video game that pays me, and I surround myself with those individuals that like to play the game as well.
I am curious about your values, but that's not the most important question. The most important question around this is, how do you use the values as you align people together to this competitive culture?
There's a lot of competitions internally. We look for these values when we're hiring. We have a very intensive hiring process. We do a lot of personality assessments, a lot of screening. We hire slowly and fire quickly. We're constantly top grading We're looking to keep KPIs where it's objective. It's not subjective in are you performing? I can objectively tell you you're not performing. It's not Chris is the bad guy. It's here's the numbers.
Now, given the fact that you're call your company rankings.o, you probably have a very keen focus on the numbers and the metrics of your clients' businesses and all the algorithms that go, drive into these things. I would imagine that translates into how you actually run and operate the business. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely fair to say. We have tons of numbers, a lot of leading indicators that are predictive as opposed to those lagging indicators that it's too late.
What would we see in your organization? Is this a spreadsheet? Is this a dashboard? Or is this some other kind of fancier way to actually display the numbers across the organization?
Our scorecards are mostly in Google Sheets, and our project management, we use Trello, and then our knowledge base is Notion. Our knowledge base is our whole world. It's where our processes are, standard operating procedures, our collateral. We even do our proposals out of Notion. It is our whole world.
What do you do that's different than other organizations that you've heard? Because I'm sure you've surrounded yourself with other entrepreneurs. They will talk about the way they use values. Do you do anything that you could share with us today that might be different?
I would say our values are more warlike than most that are just fluffy. They're just, I don't care about, integrity as a value. That's not a value. That's table stakes. If you don't have integrity, you're not working here. And I think it's just that level of drive and competitiveness. I'm sorry, there are not participation trophies. And maybe that one offends some people, but that's not, maybe other companies have that. That's fine for them, but that's not fine for us. And in the digital space, there's a lot of conversations around geographic exclusivity. Should I give it or should I not? Well, yeah, you should. As digital marketing is a zero-sum game. There's only a winner. There's a winner and there's a loser, many losers. And we want to be the winner. So I know this sounds very Ricky Bobby-ish, but we do the best training. We do not settle for mediocrity. The best content, the best links, the best employees. You hear best over and over and over again. If you're going to do something, we want to try to take it to the next level.
I said the values weren't important. Now I'm curious. Do you mind sharing what your values are?
Yeah, we have 3.
Okay.
Send and delete, foxhole mentality, and what's the other? True grit. That's it. Send and delete. If I send you something, it's getting done. It's getting accomplished. I don't need to go check on it. Foxhole mentality. It is someone that's going to go to war with you, not team player, someone that's going to get in the battle and in the fight with you. And then true grit, persistence, perseverance. It's that John Wayne type of just do it and get it over the finish line. Quite frankly, I struggled right there with 3, right? Recalling 3. When you get more than that, it's just, they don't mean anything.
You also chose phrases. A lot of people try to get the one word, like the integrity and honesty. And I agree with you. Those are complete table stakes inside of what we're doing. Yeah. Did you consciously choose phrases?
It's been an evolution. We have an EOS coach, and we went through the whole exercises, and they were very debated. But at the end of the day, I would say most of the time when you look at a company's websites, most of the values are just table stakes. Team player, integrity, honesty. Okay, that's you should have those. I'm not going to surround myself with someone that doesn't have integrity or isn't honest.
How often do you refresh the values?
They've been refreshed over the last 3 years, but they've always been the same thing. That's what's interesting. We used to have one play to win. That used to be a value, but that's just an overall philosophy at the company. And so, technically you could have that on there. And so, but they've been pretty stern. They haven't, maybe the name of them has slightly been iterated on, but the values have always remained the same.
Now, Chris talked about refreshing values. My personal opinion on this is you need to refresh them, but you can't do it every month, every quarter. You want to create some stability across this. Could be once a year, more likely every couple of years. You look at the values and they re-audition into it. So if you think about it, it's just like, going out for a professional football team or any other sports. They're re-auditioning every time we go to spring training or every time we're going to all of the stuff that's necessary to prepare the team and make sure we're all in alignment together. You want to re-audition those values. Make sure that they're still the right ones for the organization. How are we using them? Look at the, not just the values themselves, but look at how we use them across the organization. And my hope is that you will see that having a values-driven leadership organization really does is something you live by, and you take this really important. Refresh them every couple of years. You can do it sooner, but you don't want to do it too often. Back to Chris. I want to switch gears to you as a leader. We've been talking about the culture and the importance of values, but I also want to tune into what are the leadership principles that you feel like have allowed you guys to create the kind of success and the team that you want?
There are many here. No one wants to be managed. People like to be led. No one likes to be supervised. People like to be coached. So when I think of a leader, you're leading by example. A leader's job is to grow their people in quantity and quality. And when you lead, people will want to do the things that you're telling them. It's challenging to find good leaders, but that's what people want to rally behind a leader and are excited to work for a leader as opposed to being managed. No one loves being managed or supervised.
As your company's grown, Chris, you have had to hire new people. Is your approach to bring in people that already have leadership skills, or are you taking people that are talented, understand the core business, and developing those skills for your team?
Both. So it's a combination of both. It depends upon what you're looking for. If it's a top executive role, a lot of times we're looking with someone that has that experience because it's just, it's so critical to get right. And we're constantly recruiting. That's one of the things that most companies get wrong is they do it as an afterthought. They do it as a reaction. A person leaves, you got to fill the seat. And then you got this whole period of time that you go through. And a lot of times they make mistakes and they hire too quickly because they're trying to fill the seat. So we have a recruiting list. Formerly Mike Krzyzewski of Duke, and I'm a UNC guy, but I'll use Mike Krzyzewski as an example. His players would go to the NBA every year, but then the next group of talent would come in and they would win 20 plus games and be competitive. Imagine if he didn't have a recruiting list. How good would they be? So you got top talent at your company, but it still means you should have a recruiting list. And it's key. People are key. People are leverage. There's a lot of ways to get leverage, but people's incredibly important. And your highest cost walks on two legs, typically.
I love where you've taken this. One final question, Chris. What's a mistake that you have made in this journey that we could all learn from? Are you willing to share something today? And hopefully you've overcome that mistake.
Geez, so many, so many. Overhiring. The larger your company gets, the more important data becomes to have this top level view to really make decisions. And at one point, we didn't have the data to forecast properly, and I overhired. It really bled me. I've only taken on debt at one time, and it was about 4 years ago when I overhired and I accrued some debt. Thankfully, I don't have any debt at this moment, but that's when I just overhired. I didn't forecast my capacity and utilization properly.
How have you put procedures in place or systems that allow you to have the right size company?
There's multiple systems. So a few of them, it's updating my chart of accounts within QuickBooks and my reporting in the classes. So that's helped me measure that more effectively. The one interesting thing is we don't track hours. That may be surprising to hear, but we track more on the output of things that people are doing. And that's what we measure as KPIs. Publishers would be like, blogs published, articles published. The tracking our margins, things like that, just more effective, reviewing cash flow, cash on hand, money out on the street with accounts receivable, all these little things really make an impact when it comes to forecasting.
Chris, we've had a great time today talking about how you use values to create, the tremendous consistent growth that you guys have. Thank you for sharing your principles.
Gene, thanks for having me.
Wow, what a great interview. I love all things values because I really believe that it's the simplest thing we can do to create alignment across the organization. It is the thing that most companies will say that they have inside their strategies, but they just don't live by their values. My hope is today's interview about values-driven leadership will help you understand the importance of values, but also how to use them, how to really create the kind of company you want. Values-driven leadership is a game changer. hopefully you will take me up on this offer. And if there's anything we can do to help you in that journey, make sure you reach out. Free content resources at gm.com. As always, when you think of leadership and you think of growth think Think Tank. And leave a message.